Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living.
Of all the sights in Israel which are significant, none touches my emotions more than visiting the Garden of Gethsemane on the gentle slopes of the Mount of Olives across from the walled city, where the golden dome of the Mosque of Omar glistens in the sun and glows in the moonlight. What is so touching about Gethsemane? Well, for one thing, we are relatively certain that it was here where Jesus, burdened with a tremendous load of what was happening, poured out his anguish before God the Father. The gnarled old olive trees are very, very old. Botanists believe that either they grew from tender shoots of trees, which were there at the time of Jesus' sojourn on earth, or else they were already growing as actual trees. The word Gethsemane means olive press, and today you'll see the great millstones that press the olives that produce the oil used for cooking, for lamps, and for healing too. As the cross loomed before him, Jesus took the disciples and went to Gethsemane, where he went one-on-one with the Father. Luke tells us that a short distance from the disciples, Jesus knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." There was no crowd, not even the 12 who had fallen asleep, only Jesus who knelt and prayed, as a shroud of loneliness covered the spot, something that more than a few have experienced when they were at the point of absolute desperation, and they knelt in humility before God and poured out their anguish in fervent prayer, sealed with burning tears. Nothing can be deeper, nothing more serious or meaningful. In Jesus' example in prayer, I see several guidelines that form a pattern when we face the Gethsemane of our lives. First, Jesus prayed to the Father. This speaks of a relationship. He knew he was the Son of God. Nothing is more fundamental when it comes to answered prayer than knowing you have become a son of God through faith in Christ, adopted into the great family of God. It is because you are sons that God hears your prayer. Then Jesus prayed personally. It was something he had to do. It is something you must do too. Go one-on-one with God. Jesus also prayed persistently. Matthew tells us 3 times he poured out his soul in deep, fervent prayer. This was God's Son. Now, doesn't God hear my prayer the first time I pray? Yes. But there are times when you must prevail in prayer, holding to the promises of God, bringing our thoughts to focus on what we're asking God to do. Jesus also prayed according to the will of the Father. The traditional text says Jesus prayed, saying, "Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done." The highest form of faith is praying, "Nevertheless," as you yield your will to the Father's will, trusting him for his grace and strength to do what he wants, not what you want. It always leaves the door open for God to answer your prayer differently from what you think he should. And what happened? God delivered him so he would not have to drink of the cup. No, God sent an angel who strengthened him as he prayed even more earnestly. Frankly, God does not always deliver you from the evil or the need that drives you to go one-on-one with God. But he does give you the strength and the grace to endure and to do so joyfully. Never, never be afraid to go one-on-one with God in the hour of need, for only then will you discover his grace and mercy.
You've just heard Dr. Harold Sala with Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living. If you would like to listen to the program again, download a copy, subscribe to our e-commentary, or view other resources, visit guidelines.org. We would like to hear from you too. You can email us at info@guidelines.org. That's info@guidelines.org. Thanks for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of Guidelines.